Family dinners used to be the highlight of my week. The laughter, the shared stories, the smell of home-cooked food. All of it reminded me that no matter how hectic life became, there was always something steady waiting at that table. But that night changed everything. That night, I learned how quickly love can shatter when pride takes over. We were at her parents' house. Emily and I had been together for 3 years. I'd always felt slightly out of place around her family. Not because they were unkind, but because I could feel the unspoken comparisons. Her father's quiet appraisals, her mother's polite restraint. They adored her ex, Michael, the golden boy who still stopped by from time to time to check in. I never made an issue of it. Emily always told me they were just friends now, that their past didn't threaten what we had, and I wanted to believe her. Maybe that's why I kept ignoring that uneasy feeling that crept in every time his name came up. That evening, between bites of roasted chicken and laughter that felt forced, her mother brought him up again, talking about how he just bought a new house, how responsible and mature he'd become. I stayed quiet, smiling politely, pretending it didn't sting. Then Emily spoke, her voice calm, almost casual, like she wasn't about to detonate the room. She said, "Michael will always be part of my life. If you can't handle that, you can leave." The air froze. Fork stopped midair. My heart dropped. For a second, I thought I'd misheard her, that maybe she meant something else, something less cruel. But when I looked at her, there was no trace of humor. Her face was calm, almost rehearsed, as if she'd practiced that line long before she ever said it out loud. Her father cleared his throat, shifting awkwardly in his chair. Her mother mumbled something about dessert, trying to steer the conversation away, but it was too late. The damage was already done. Everyone at that table felt the invisible crack in the air. I didn't argue. I didn't offend myself. I just nodded, swallowed what little pride I had left, and finished my drink. Outside, I looked composed. Inside, I was unraveling. When we got home, the silence was suffocating. Emily went straight to the bedroom, scrolling through her phone as if nothing had happened. Eventually, I asked, "Did you really mean that?" She sighed, exasperated, as if I were the one being unreasonable. "Why are you making this such a big deal?" she said. "Michael and I have history. He's been a huge part of my life. I'm not cutting him off just because you're insecure." That word, insecure, hit me like a slap. I'd spent years being patient, trusting her, choosing calm over conflict. But in that moment, something inside me shifted. It wasn't about Michael anymore. It was about respect. And I realized somewhere along the way, I'd lost mine. That night, I slept on the couch. She didn't come to check on me. Didn't ask if I was okay. It was the quietest night of my life. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the living room floor, sharp, almost mocking. I hadn't slept. Her words kept looping in my head, each repetition cutting deeper. I wasn't angry anymore, just exhausted, tired of trying to matter to someone who made it clear I never would. Emily came out of the bedroom, still in her robe, sipping coffee like nothing had happened. "Are we really doing this?" she asked, rolling her eyes. "You're overreacting." I looked at her for a long moment. The woman I once adored, whose laugh used to feel like sunlight, now felt like a stranger sitting across from me. "I'm not overreacting," I said quietly. "You told me another man will always come before me. What's left to talk about?" She scoffed. "You're twisting my words. I just meant he'll always be around, as a friend. But friendship isn't something you declare like a challenge. Not in front of your family. Not as an ultimatum. That sentence wasn't about friendship. It was about control. And I was done giving mine away. I stood up, grabbed my jacket, and said softly, "You don't have to erase your past. But I deserve to be someone's present, not an option in a room full of memories." She didn't answer. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe she knew I was right. I walked out without shouting, without slamming a door. The silence said everything. It was my closure. Months later, her sister saw me at a cafe. She smiled sadly and said, "Emily still talks about that dinner. Still wonders why you never look back." I smiled and told her, because some goodbyes don't need to be loud. They just need to be final.